And back again. So you're going to pedal out your legs, give them a massage. Get into any tightness that you're feeling. Let's bring our legs down to the ground. Bring your feet to the outside edges of the mat. Knees are bent, and start to drop your legs from side to side. Nice and easy. Taking some breaths. We're spending a little bit of time warming up. And come back. I'd like you to hug your knees in again. This time lift your head and shoulders up off of the ground. This is a little test for your neck. If it doesn't feel good, of course, don't do this. Draw your belly muscles in, tuck everything in. We're going to hold here for one more breath and release back down. Let's bring both of our feet to the ground. Let the soles of the feet connect. Let your knees open up. Let's take a couple breaths here. I want you to just focus on breathing deeply into the belly and try and breathe in and out through your nose. So throughout the class, that will be what you're working on. It's going to be easier when we're in the slow part of the class, but you're always aware of it, trying to breathe in and out through the nose. Bring your knees up once again, this time hovering your knees over your hips. You can have your hands alongside your body. We're just going to start to extend the legs back, extend them forward. Just doing some nice bicycling movement here. I want you to be pushing through the ball of your foot. So as you extend forward, you're pushing through that ball of your foot. Engage your abdominal muscles. Try to press your back into the ground. It's normally your back is not going to be flush to the ground, but you're working on trying to keep it connected. Nice solid core. And we're going at this easy pace in the sense that you're not going frenetically here. We're just moving at a pace that works for you. You're remembering to breathe. We're warming up the legs. We're warming up the lower abdominal muscles. Let's do one more either side. And then bring your feet back down to the ground again, soles of the feet touch. Let your knees open out to the sides. Let's take a couple big breaths. And then one more time, bring the knees back up. So again, we're going to be doing that nice bicycling, pushing through the ball of the foot. Core is engaged. This time, lift your head and shoulders up off of the ground. Keep your elbows open. You're looking up at the ceiling. You're letting your head rest in your hands. So we've added in the upper abdominals. So you're going at your nice pace that works for you. You're remembering to breathe. Keep everything strong. You can always lower your head if you want. We're going to stay here for one more pedal on either side. And then bring your head and shoulders down. Hug your knees in. And then one more time, soles of the feet together, knees open out to the sides. We'll take this stretch, which is getting into our hip flexors, which are working when we're doing that pedaling movement. Couple big breaths. We're going to add in an extra stretch this time. So bring your feet to the outside edges of the mat. Let's do another couple moments of windshield wiper knees. Okay. Last time, all the same cues as before. Extending the legs, draw the belly muscles in. Keep breathing, find the pace that works for you. You're pushing through the ball of the foot. And now, lift up your head and shoulders if you want, making sure that you're not crunching in. You're looking up at the ceiling, so you can stay like this, or we're going to do twisting. So we're going to bring elbow to opposite knee. So you decide what works for you. I did say the first part is fast. All right, so we are going to do this Let's count this down for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then this time you get to stretch out nice and long. Bring your arms over your head. Take a full body stretch. Rosie's celebrating with all of you that this is done. Okay. Bring your knees into your chest, and we're going to roll ourselves all the way up. Come all the way up onto your hands and knees. We're going to set up in a tabletop position. And I'd like you to move through your spine, doing some cat and some cows. I'm going to just let someone else in. So you guys are doing cat and cows. Nice big deep breaths. Start to push your hips from side to side. Rosie's in a wild and crazy mood today. Okay, from here, I'd like you please to bring yourself up into downward facing dog. Remember, you can always omit the downward dog, staying in tabletop, pedaling it out, but in the interests of fast, let's start to get going here. We're going to flow around. So I want you to just pedal out your legs. If you want to come up on your tiptoes, pushing your tailbone up towards the ceiling, sinking down through your heels any amount, go for it. Shake out your neck, shake out your head. Let's stay here a little bit longer, so 2 more breaths. Nice big deep breaths in through your nose, out through your nose. Filling up your lungs with lots of fresh air, and we're going to float forward to a high plank. Press back into downward dog. Float forward to a high plank. Press back into downward dog. One more time, float forward to a high plank. Bring your knees down. Let's lower ourselves down to the ground. Pause for a second. Keep your arms snuggled in close. Your elbows are bent. Press back up into a knee plank. Lower back down. Press back up. One more time. Lower back down. Release your feet. Take your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers, stretch out your arms, draw your belly muscles in, and we're going to float up through the chest so you're looking down, your neck is nice and long. Big breath in, big breath out, relax back down, bring your hands beside your low ribs, curl your toes under, and let's just take a good stretch back here into child's pose. Big deep breath in, big deep breath out. Walk your hands over to the right side. Walk your hands over to the left side. Come back to center. As always, you stay here as long as you want, but if not, we're going to come up into downward facing dog. I'd like you to take your right leg and reach it up in the air, bend the knee open. Step your foot up between your hands, coming down on your left knee. Float your arms up. Bring your hands to the ground. Curl your back toe under, pick up your back knee. You still have your right knee over your ankle, being very careful that you have that positioning. If you'd like, float the arms up. Bring your hands to your heart, twist to the right. Come back with your hands to the ground. Step back into a high plank. Press back into downward dog. Float forward, high plank. Press back into downward dog. Float forward, high plank. Bend your knees. Lower yourself down to the ground. Keep your arms pressed in close. Draw your abdominal muscles in. Press back up. Lower back down. You can skip these, right? Press back up. Lower back down. One more time. Press back up. Lower back down. Release your feet. Interlace your hands behind your back. Peel up through the chest. Keep your neck nice and long. Relax back down. Hands beside the low ribs. Curl your toes under. Bring yourself back into child's pose. Stay here as long as you want, or come up into downward facing dog and pedal out the legs. Okay. Take another breath. And from here, take your left leg, reach it up in the air, bend your knee open. Step your left foot up between your hands, coming down on your right knee. Floating the arms up. Bring your hands to the ground. Pick up your back knee. Pausing here, double checking that your left knee is over the ankle. Float the arms up. Lifting up into crescent lunge. Nice big breath. Bring your hands to your heart. Twist to the left. We'll bring our hands back down to the ground. Step back into a high plank. Press back, downward dog. Float forward, high plank. Press back, downward dog. Float forward, high plank. Bend your knees. Lower yourself down. Press back up. Lower yourself down. Press back up. Lower yourself down. Last time. Press back up. Lower yourself down. Take your hands, interlace them behind the back, stretch the arms, peel up through the chest. This time add in the legs. Let's hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Bring your hands beside your low ribs. Curl your toes under and press back. Downward facing, or child's pose. Or downward facing dog, but I recommend child's pose. Nice big deep breath. Okay, we're going to add in one more element to this sequence. Walking your hands towards your knees, you can lift your legs up and walk your hands back so that you are in a forward fold. Take a nice big stretch here in your forward fold. You're releasing through the backs of the legs. Shake out your neck. Maybe you want to interlace your hands behind your back and stretch through the arms. Keep your belly muscles strong. You're going to do whatever feels right for you here. Maybe you want to walk your fingertips over to one side and walk your fingertips over to the other side. Maybe that feels good. Okay, so one more breath in your standing forward fold. And then with your core still engaged, we're going to roll, clicking our spine, rolling up. Neck is the last thing to come up. Take a couple breaths. Roll your shoulders. Make sure you feel good. And standing at the back of the mat, we're going to take the arms out and up. Inhale. And fold forward. Lengthen into a flat back. So hands on shins. Fold yourself in again. Bring your hands to the ground and walk yourself up into downward facing dog. Right leg goes up in the air. Bend the knee open. Step your foot up between your hands, coming down on your knee. Float the arms up, low lunge. Bring your hands to the ground. Pick up the back knee. Float the arms up, lifting your body up into crescent lunge, high lunge. Hands to the heart. Let's twist to the right. Keep pushing through your back leg. Come back to center. Bring your hands down. Step back into a high plank. Pressing back, downward dog. Keep your core nice and strong. Float forward, high plank. Press back, downward dog. Float forward, high plank. Press back, downward dog. And float forward, high plank. Bring your knees down, lower down. Press back up. Lower down. Press back up. Keep breathing. Lower down. Press back up. Release down. A little bit of a break. Interlacing the hands. Peeling up through the chest and floating up through the legs this time as well. Draw your belly muscles in. Take a big breath in. Big breath out. Relax down. Hands beside the low ribs. Curl the toes under. Stretch back into child's pose. If you want, stay here longer or come up into downward facing dog. Let's take 3 breaths, whether you're in child or downward dog. And from here, downward dog. So coming into downward dog, bring your left leg up in the air, bend the knee open. Step your foot up between your hands, coming down on your knee. Float the arms up. Bring your hands down, pick up the back knee. Floating up, lifting up. Nice strong core. Bring your hands to your heart, twist to the left, pressing through your back leg. Bring your hands to the ground, step back, high plank, press back, downward dog. High plank, downward dog. High plank, downward dog. And float forward, high plank, knees down. Lower yourself down in that tricep position. Press back up, back down. Back up, back down. Keep your abdominals engaged here. They'll give you power. Back up and lower down. Interlace your hands behind your back. Float up through the legs. Nice big deep breath. Inhale, exhale, relax back down. Hands beside the low ribs, curl the toes under. Press back into child's pose. Coming up into downward facing dog, we're going to walk our hands back to our feet. With your strong abdominal muscles, of course, maybe you want to roll out your wrists as you're hanging upside down. Shake out your arms, maybe turn your head from side to side, and then we're going to start that nice slow roll, coming all the way back up. Okay, breaths at the top. Let's take a couple seconds here. We'll maybe interlace the hands, just giving your arms a stretch. Let's even take eagle arms so you can bring one arm underneath the other. And we'll release, do the other side. Remember, you can always take this variation. And release. Okay, so one more time, a little bit faster. You think we can do it? I think we can. Nice and tall. Bring your arms up, inhale, folding forward as you exhale. Bring your hands to your shins, lengthening to a flat back. Hands to the ground, walk yourself up, downward facing dog. Bring your right leg up in the air, bend the knee open. Step your foot up between your hands, come down on your left knee, float the arms up, big breath in, bring your hands down, pick up the back knee, float the arms up, another big breath in, hands to the heart, twist. Come back, hands down, step into a high plank, press downward dog. High plank, downward dog. You're keeping your abdominals engaged the whole time. High plank, downward dog. Float forward, high plank. Bend your knees. Lower down in your tricep push-up. Back up. Lower down. Back up. Lower down. Back up. Lower down. Stretch it out by interlacing your hands. Float up through the feet and the chest. Keep your neck long. Breathe in. Release back down. Curl your toes under. Press back. Take a break in child's pose for as long as you want, or stay in downward facing dog. We're going to take 3 breaths. We have one more side to go. And left leg goes up in the air. Bend the knee open. Step your foot up between your hands, coming down on the knee. Arms up. Breathing in, breathing out. Hands down. Pick up your back knee. Float up. Breathe in, breathe out, bring your hands to your heart, twist. Come back, hands down, step into a high plank. Keep your core engaged, press back, downward dog. Float forward, high plank, press back, downward dog. Float forward, high plank, press back, downward dog. Float forward, high plank, bend your knees. Keep those arms snuggled in close. Lower down, press back up. Lower down, press back up. Lower down, press back up, and lower down. Release your hands behind your back, or interlace your hands behind your back. Float up through the legs. Nice big breath. Maybe we'll do a little flutter kick here just to celebrate this is our last time. And relax. Hands beside the low ribs. Curl the toes under. Press back. Child's pose. Let's take a lot of breaths here. Just allow your breath to come back to being nice and regular, nice and steady. You can take your right arm and thread it underneath the left. This will stretch into your shoulder. You can always take your left arm and drape it behind your back. Let's release and switch to the other side. And we'll release. So you can stay in child's pose a little bit longer. You can experiment with stretching your arms back if you like how that feels. Let's take one more breath, and then we're going to bring ourselves up to a seated position. Just give your legs a little stretch. Stretch them out. We're going to step our right leg over the left. You're going to twist towards your bent knee. I feel like when my dog ran in here and ate my hair, that my hair is like, anyways, that my, oh well, who cares? So we're twisting towards the right leg. Nice big breath. You're pulling yourself nice and tall, lifting up through the crown of your head. Keep your belly muscles engaged. Get a nice stretch into your hip. Let's take one more breath. And then we're going to come back through. I want you just to take a little counter twist to the other side, just a little baby twist. And then come back to center. Okay, we're going to release the leg, and let's switch and do the other side. So left leg steps over, and you're going to twist towards the bent knee. Pull yourself up nice and tall. So we did lots of warming in that upper shoulders, triceps, biceps, lots and lots of stuff in that part of the body, right? So pry them open. They're looser than they were before, for sure. And now we're going to capitalize on all that warmth with our slow. This is all slow. And I'll just mention this again for those that missed it if you signed in a bit later. What we're going to need now, shortly, is a blanket. You're going to need a blanket or a beach towel type of thickness. So a thin blanket or beach towel or towel, just not a big, thick, fuzzy blanket. And we're going to use that shortly. So the way I've folded mine is kind of gives you an idea of what I'm looking for. And let's come all the way back to center. We're going to do just that little baby twist. And come back to center. Release your legs. Give them another little shake. Maybe squeeze and release your toes. Let's take, I need to turn around. I feel like, yes, this is the top of my mat. Let's take just a nice easy forward fold. You can bring your arms up in the air and just drape your upper body over your lower body. So remember, it's okay to bend your knees. It's okay to have a rounded back. Tucking your chin into your chest if you want to get that nice stretch on the back of the neck. So just release. Let's take one more breath. And we're going to come back up. Let's do one more thing here as in a seated position. We're going to just take bending your right knee, take your right ankle and cross it over your left thigh. So this can feel really crazy, that ankle bone pressing into your thigh. Conveniently, you could use your blanket if you want to pad it. But you can stay like this, so leaning back, just allowing your knee to drop towards the ground any amount that's available to you. Some of you might feel like you want to lean forward. If you are leaning forward this time, I want you to think more about having a straighter back. You're not going to do that, the rounded back. Some of you may feel like you want to reach for the foot or the leg somewhere. Just find what is available to you. So you're getting the stretch in the right side, but also the pressure pushing down on your left leg. You're intensifying that hamstring stretch, the behind the knee stretch, the calf stretch. So wherever you're at, let's try and take 5 more breaths. I want you to be very aware of your breathing in through your nose, breathing out through your nose. Okay, let's release. Give your legs a little shake. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So that ankle bone is above the knee, so it's massaging into the muscle. Like I said, it can feel not that great. You can always pad it up. It does act as a way to release the fascia, though. Like as you massage around, it's like a really deep massage. Okay, so decide what works. We all have differences from one side of the body to the other. So maybe you take a different position on one side. Just remember to keep your straight back, your straighter back if you are working on reaching forward. You're thinking more, for those of you folding forward, of hinging at the hips. You're not concerned about what you're looking at with your head. You're looking forward. Trying to keep your heart shining forward. So let's take 5 more breaths from here. Nice long amount of time in this stretch. Go for one last big breath in through your nose and out through your nose, and then we'll come back up. And again, we'll release the legs. Shake out the legs, they might need it. Let's take a variation of windshield wiper knees where we're seated. So hands are just comfortable on the ground. Don't worry about which way your fingers are pointing. And start to drop your knees from side to side, nice and easy. So the thing I like about the seated windshield wiper knees is that you get to go all the way around and take a nice twist in your back. So I want you guys to go at your own pace. Maybe you are just going to do only one side because you're holding it for so long, like one time on either side. Now, if it feels not that great on your tailbone, of course you can lie down and take windshield wiper knees lying on your back, the way that we often do. So let's do this just a little bit more for sure, breathe. Breathe all the way up your spine. So we'll come back to center. We're going to do one last stretch here before we lie down. I want you to just have a comfortable position for your legs. So if that means stretching them out, feet together, cross-legged, whatever, we're just going to take our arm, right arm, and just pull it across the body. So you've got that push-pull happening. You're trying to resist pulling your shoulder. Stay nice and tall through your core. Let's just turn the head gently from side to side a couple times. And release, give it a little shake. So we're just stretching out our arms because we did a fair amount of repetitive movement, muscle building, strengthening when we were in our fast portion of the class. And shake it out. And then last but not least, let's just take our hand gently on the head. Very gentle pull. You're just stretching into your neck muscles, your scalene muscles. We'll come up, opposite. Very gentle, never cranking your neck, just super gentle. And we'll come back up. Let your chin drop towards your chest. Keep your back nice and straight, shoulders are back. And then we'll come back up. Okay, so I hope that you have your prop. If you don't, that's okay. You could use a book, which I'll do that as an alternate. But I hope that you have a prop. I'd like you to start to roll your towel into a sushi roll. So it doesn't have to be a beautiful roll by any means, but I just don't want it to be like this thick because you're using like a really thick blanket. I suppose if it was that thick, as long as it's gushy. No, actually it has to just be thinner, yeah. So you just want to have some density to it because we're going to be lying on it. So take your time, do your roll. What we're going to do is lie on our sushi roll. We're going to lie with this roll underneath the armpits, along the bra line as an example. We're going to just recline back. The other thing I want you to think about in terms of positioning is that your shoulders are not going to be exactly lined up with it. Your shoulders are going to kind of spill over the back like a waterfall. So what this means is some of you might have your shoulders spilling over quite a bit. Some of you might have it a little more subtle because it's going to just depend on how you feel. But you're going to relax your head on the ground. So yes, there is a very big opening here happening in the chest. You're being pushed up. You're being pumped up in a certain part of your body behind the heart. It's isolated, so there's a rounding for sure in the back. Decide if you like this. You may not, and that's okay. This is not for everyone. You're going to just lie on your back without the prop. I mentioned before, if you don't have the blanket, you could take your book. It's a little different, but if you want to have that sensation, you could take your book and lie on it. Just, it's going to be parallel to your spine. But anyways. So we're going to get in this position. Find what feels good. So right now my arms are stretched alongside the body, but you can explore some other positioning. Maybe you want to see what it feels like to reach your arms away from you. So now, like my tricep is snuggled up to the sushi roll. So palms are facing up. Explore how this feels. Take a couple big breaths. You shouldn't feel any pain in your body. One more thing I'll add, sometimes the arch in the back, the extension in the lumbar is just a little too much for some of us. You could always reduce that and bring your feet flat to the ground. With the knees bent, sorry, feet flat to the ground with the knees bent. I left that part out. Okay. So continue to take your big deep breaths. Now, some of you might feel like you want to stretch your arms back. Of course, if your arms are hanging in the air because they won't touch, then you're going to release them out wider. I want you to have connection to the ground in some way, like fingertips touching the ground, backs of the hands, whatever is available, but just they're not floating in the air. So you are gauging every second you're in this pose, you're gauging what feels best for you. If anything doesn't feel good, you're going to stop. Try and recognize the difference between being in an unusual position, a very pulling open the heart position that's very different from what we do in our daily life. This is a complete opposite stretch movement from how we hold ourselves. We very much round our shoulders in. We do that because of our lifestyle. We sit on couches and comfy chairs. We look at computers and smartphones all day long. We also just, our shoulders start to round in as we age. So this is completely opposite from what we're used to doing. The reason why I wanted to incorporate this in the class today, and I wanted to call the class slow so everyone knew we were going to be doing a long held position like this. The reason why I chose this position is because this is a brightening pose. So in darker winter months, in times of stress, times of anxiety, we need to pull our heart open and stretch into this underused area, upper chest area. Stretching into your lungs, stretching open your chest, pulling your shoulders back, that can brighten your mood. You might feel the difference in how it is to now take nice deep breaths. You might notice that your breaths, especially after you're done this class, once you're out of this position, your breaths might feel like they are deeper and smoother. You might feel like having your shoulders back feels a little lighter. This is like a yoga pose that is a natural antidepressant. So we'll stay here a little bit longer. You find the position that works best for you. You come out of it if you need to. We are going to stay here for about 20 more seconds. You can close your eyes and just concentrate on your breath. Pull your breath in through your nose, exhale it out through your nose. So last breath. Okay, so let's just start to bring the arms in, whatever manner. And then I want you to try to come off of your prop in the way that gives you the least stress. I want you just to kind of slide off of it. Don't lift your head up off of the ground if you can help it. Maybe you're able to sort of snuggle onto it, so now it's underneath your head. You can take a couple breaths here. Maybe you pulled it away. That's okay. I want you to take some time now to let your spine be connected to the ground. You no longer have anything being pushed up and opened up. So just gently bringing your whole body to the ground. Let's turn our head from side to side a couple times just to make sure that your neck feels good. And then we're going to do some releasing movements here. Let's bend our knees into our chest, hugging them in just like we did at the very beginning. You can pull your knees wider apart, and this will really flatten your low back into the ground because we had our back lifted, right? So you can stay like this with your hands on your knees, knees wide apart, or you could come into a happy baby. Anything that feels like you're flattening your back. Rock from side to side if that feels good. Let's take 3 more breaths. So remember the sushi roll. You can do this. Grab your towel in your house, roll it up, Stretch it out on the ground. Use this if you need, if you feel like you need to just get a good stretch in your back, sometimes you feel like that, or if you just need to lie down and relax for a few moments, try it with the sushi roll. Okay, we're going to bring our feet to the outside edges of the mat, knees are bent. Let's go back to our old favorite, our standby pose for today, which is windshield wiper knees. So this is starting to twist into the back a little bit more. We're putting a little bit more movement. Maybe you want to stretch your arms away from you, and that's going to feel really nice as you draw the stretch up the sides of the body. Let's do one more either side. And then we're going to come back to hugging the knees in. And this time, let's lift our head and shoulders up off of the ground. So you're just gently releasing back down to the ground. So we're going to do that 2 more times. If your neck hurts, don't do it. Rolling up and come back down. And last time, rolling up and come back down. Let's bring our feet flat to the ground. Take your right ankle, cross it over your left thigh. Lo and behold, this is a similar position to what we were doing before, except this time we bend our knees towards us and grab the left thigh. So it feels a little bit better, right? It doesn't feel like the same way that you're grinding your ankle bone into your leg. When we did this when we were seated and we would fold forward, or some of us were leaning back. So I want you to take some really big breaths here, and not only are you stretching out your right leg and your right glute muscle, but you're also pressing your back into the ground. You're feeling that full length of spine connect on the ground. We're going to take 2 more breaths. And release your leg. Let's do the other side. You can grab the thigh if you want. If it doesn't feel like too much, just keep your foot on the ground, your right foot on the ground. Big, deep breaths. Let's practice our big, deep breaths in our newly stretched out chest and lungs. The heart feels brighter. Definitely the shoulders are going to cooperate much more today. And when we stand up nice and tall, you're going to be very aware of them. You're going to want to pull them back all day, and it's going to just be so easy to do. Let's take 2 more breaths. And release. And let's just stretch the legs out for a moment, just letting the knees not be bent. Maybe give them a little shake, and we're going to just do 1 more movement here. Actually 2 more. Let's stretch our legs straight up in the air. Roll the ankles. I know we started like this, but now this is just part of our cool down. Pedal out the feet. Let's do 1 more breath. Now you can let your legs stretch out a second time onto the ground. Just relax. And we're going to close with a twist. Bend your right knee in, hand on the knee, bring it across the body. You can stretch your right arm away from you if you'd like. Big breath in, big breath out. Come all the way back. Release your leg. Switch sides. Big breath in, big breath out. And all the way back with your leg. So you're done your practice. You did fast, then slow. Congratulations. Bring your arms over your head. I want you to take the best stretch that you've taken in the entire month of February. And we're going to reach from the fingers all the way down to the toes. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth. Let anything that doesn't serve you, just let it out with your breath. 1 more time. Breathe in and breathe out. And then we're going to roll over to our side and bring ourselves up to a seated position. Let's bring our hands to our hearts. take a moment for gratitude. I want you to just visualize or acknowledge something in your world that makes you grateful, makes you thankful. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope that you feel good, you notice the difference in your shoulders, and stay well, stay happy. Namaste. Happy Saturday, everyone. Thank you for joining.